What's going on, everyone? I'm Data Report here from datareport.info, and today in this video we're going to talk about climate. Winter. Winter has not really existed in a large part of the country. In fact, the bigger story I think this winter has been not only the big storms that happened out west, remember the atmospheric river that happened on the west coast, but in the southern U.S. there has been quite a few tornadoes so far this winter. So first off, where is the snow? Well, we've only seen a trace of snow here in Philadelphia. In fact, you need a tenth of an inch of snow to count as your first measurable snow, and, well, we have not seen it yet. We haven't even seen much in the way of cold weather this winter. We had a cold snap last weekend. I have a Davis Vantage View Pro 2 weather station here at my house, and it got down to 12 degrees last Saturday morning. Prior to that, we've had a lot of warm weather. Christmas week, we had a cold snap where it did get really cold for a few days, but already today, it was 60 degrees this morning. We had 60 degrees yesterday, which is well above average for this time of winter. I actually tweeted last night that we had 59 degrees at, I believe it was around midnight. It was 59 degrees here. Normally it should be in the low 30s at this time of year, late at night. So where is the snow? Well, believe it or not, there's going to be some snow in the western portions of North Carolina, southern Virginia, and eastern Tennessee in the mountains. There's actually a coastal storm that's coming up from the south, and they are expecting some snow here. Let's take a look at the winter storm watch. Let's see what they're expecting. What? Heavy mixed precipitation, total snow and sleet accumulations of 4 to 10 inches, and ice accumulations with a light glaze possible. This is going to happen from Saturday evening in through Sunday evening. Let's take a look at the GFS weather model. And the GFS does show this quite well. As you can see here, there's an area of energy that's back across Texas, and you have moisture along an old boundary coming out of the Gulf of Mexico into the Atlantic. That moisture is going to come up and interact with some colder air aloft. This energy here, I'm going to switch to the 500 millibar level. And you can see here quite well, there's a cutoff low, and that's going to develop the area of low pressure that's going to form along the front. And in this cutoff low, you do have some cold air in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Switching back to the surface here, and you can see it here quite well. You can see North Carolina, even some portions of Virginia. It does change over to snow with this system into higher elevations. There's not a lot of cold air to work with. The only cold air with this is from the cutoff low. You're not getting a connection coming down from Canada. You don't have an area of high pressure. So therefore, this is not a snowstorm for the East Coast. Yet again, it's a rain event. And as we progress here, this system starts to lose the cold air. It transfers to a coastal storm. GFS doesn't really show us getting much into New York and Philadelphia in terms of the rain aspects. I tend to think it's too far southeast. Some other models are more northwest. It could change. There's really a discrepancy. But the point is, this coastal system is going to provide rain and wind, not snow. So yet again, another system where it's rain, and in this case it's a nor'easter. We haven't even seen many nor'easters in the Northeast this winter. In fact, most of the systems, as you will see here in a minute with this next system for late next week, here we go. Now we're coming into late next week. And look what happens. Another cutoff system, not cutoff, but another lakes cutting system, which has been the theme this winter. The majority of the storms have cut across the lakes. And with this system late next week, look what happens in the south. You actually get some severe weather. So more on that in a minute. Switching over here to the Storm Prediction Center. With this current system, there's actually a slight risk of severe weather down in Florida. And with that slight risk, there's actually a 5% area that has been added for tornadoes. So there could be a tornado or two down in Florida. Then switching over to the longer range outlook. Day 6, which I believe would be next Wednesday. Then you have day 7. Yeah, next Thursday. excuse me. And then day 7, which is Thursday into Friday. And as you can see here, there is a tornado threat from Louisiana up into Arkansas, into western Tennessee, western Mississippi. Then it shifts to Alabama, Georgia, and eastern Mississippi, and portions of the panhandle of Florida and Tennessee. So, with this, there is definitely a threat of tornadoes. And let's go back to the GFS. Look what the GFS does here. You can see you get some stormy conditions here on Wednesday. In Texas, you get a little bit of moisture popping up, so there could be a few isolated storms there on Thursday evening, but that we're not really too much concerned about. It's what happens on Thursday. As you can see here, the warm air pumps out. Here's your cold front right here, from Texas on up into the Great Lakes region. Ahead of that, the dew points are going to be pumping. And look at this. You have dew points into the mid to upper 60s. Directly behind that, you have dew points in the 20s, 30s, and even deeper into Texas. It gets into the single digits and teens. These are dew points, which measures the moisture in the air. So it's going to be a really dry air mass and cold air mass behind us. Meaning, see this green and yellow line here? Yeah, that's potentially what's called a dry line, which divides the warm, moist air from the cold and drier air. And anytime you get a dry line like this, you have the risk of tornadoes because you're going to have a lot of spin in the atmosphere. Let's switch to the upper level pattern real quickly. And as you can see here, you have very well defined area of energy along this front. So there definitely is a tornado risk next Thursday and Thursday night down across the Gulf region in these states. And we'll have to watch that. Speaking of tornadoes, so far this winter has been very active for tornadoes. Tornadoes have been a bigger story than snowfall, especially east of the Mississippi. There have been a total of 130 tornadoes already this winter. 41 of them are EFOs. 60 of them have been EF1 rated. 20 of them have been EF2s. And there have even been 3 EF3s. And then you have 6 EFUs, which is basically just like a funnel cloud. It's very minor on the scale. So yes, it's been active, and there have already been 8 confirmed deaths and fatalities, as you can see here, in the United States this winter. So yeah, tornadoes have really stolen the show. Now back to the winter aspect. Is there any snow coming in the foreseeable future? Well, not if you're in the east. Look at the 6 to 10 day temperature average. Temperatures. It's going to be well above average, with near normal temperatures along the Mississippi River area, with well below average temperatures in the west coast. Here's the 8 to 14 day pictures. The below average temperatures, that stays in the western coast, near normal from Texas on up through to the northern Great Lakes region. But as soon as you get east of that, you get east of Mississippi, we're talking above average temperatures for much of the east coast. So there's no more snow coming in. And speaking of snowfall, how much snow has fallen so far? A lot of people are asking about that. Well, look here. You can see here, this is the snowfall percentage of normal average. So this blue colored, almost like a purplish blue, that is where places are seen above the normal average of snowfall, where they have seen a lot of snow. This red, or even in many cases white, that is below normal snowfall. And you can see here the I-95 corridor from North Carolina, Virginia, on up into D.C., Baltimore, continuing up into New York. Yeah, there has not been any snow. The snow has been hard pressed because it has been such a warm winter. Even here across the Great Lakes, with the exception of Buffalo and a few other small areas, it's been below average snowfall. However, on the west coast, where they had the atmospheric river back in late December into early January, it is above average snowfall for many locations. And that's probably going to continue. They're probably going to see a few more snowy periods because, like we showed here, in a 6 to 10 day period, it's going to be well below average temperatures out there, and it definitely will support snow. Will we see any snow in the east? As of right now, the next 2 weeks, No, you might get a few events across the Great Lakes and maybe up in northern New England, but the I-95 corridor, we may have to actually look at all the way ahead to March until we could even talk about a snow chance. Some are saying maybe it's going to get cold in March, but then again, they also said the same thing about January. We all saw what happened. All right, thanks for watching this video. We'll have another climate update next week on the tornado potential in the south. Stay safe, everyone, and remember to hit the like and subscribe button down below.